Hi, welcome to Coffee County's Beef Factory event. We wanted to share with you 3 different recipes today to incorporate beef into your household and make good, yummy meals for your family. So today I'm going to share with you how to make meatloaf. This is a recipe handed down from my husband's side of the family. It's very differently than what you find on your recipes if you look online, but we are providing the recipe for you today. So today you're going to start with just 2 pounds of ground beef. Most of the time you can get them in 1 pound packages, or you can buy the one that you need. So then you're just going to dump them in, get you a bowl, just a large mixing bowl, and you just mix them right in. So you just mix them right in. So, and I'm just leaving them just like they are in the bowl. The idea is to not mix with the meat as less as possible. You want it to just kind of stay the way it is. So I'm just going to do quick measurements with you. The measurements are on the recipe, but for each of the liquid ingredients, you're going to use 1 tablespoon. And so I just like to give a little dash. So this is Worcestershire sauce, or however you like to pronounce that. I use steak sauce, any brand's fine. Squirt of mustard. Squirt of ketchup. And that is your liquid ingredients. An egg is a great binder, so we just do 1 egg. You can always dump your egg in a side bowl to make sure you don't get any shell, or that it's a good egg before mixing it in your meat. Bread. This is where a lot of recipes differ. You can choose to do breadcrumbs. You can do Ritz crackers. I just like to get the end piece of bread because this is what my family chooses not to eat. So I just get the end piece and I just crumble it right up. If you have a grater, you can grate it, but again, I try to make it as simple and fast as possible. And so we don't want to have food waste, so this is how we use our end pieces of our bread. And so once you have all of that, then you can mix in your dry ingredients. And on all of your dry ingredients, you're going to use garlic salt, garlic pepper, and then salt and pepper to taste. Just about a teaspoon of each one. But again, I just like to season it, and you can do it to your taste. We really like garlic, and if you like it a lot, you can even use the minced garlic and add some of that in as well. That's what I really like about this recipe, is you can adapt it and change it to your likes. You can saute up some onions and put in there. If you like jalapenos, saw up some jalapenos and add it. It just really depends on your family. We like to make it plain, and I do onions and mushrooms and peppers on the side to add on top with my family, because my kids are kind of picky and they don't like the onions and the peppers. So once you have all of those dry ingredients mixed, you can do it barehanded, it is fine, but today for purposes I don't have a sink right next to me, so I am going to just go ahead and put on the gloves, and you just carefully, or so you can see once it's all in there, I'm just going to combine it. The idea is not to mix it too much like I had said earlier, but you really just want to incorporate that egg and those breadcrumbs. You don't want the bread to be all in one spot, because that's the binder to keep the meatloaf together in the pan. And so you just want to make sure that egg yolk is all incorporated. And then when you do that, I just kind of mix it around. And you just kind of want it in one big lump and patty. You always need to spray your pan. So just a loaf pan. These Dollar Tree, Dollar Store, pretty cheap to buy. They say they're non-stick, but always for my meatloaf, I just like to give it a quick little spray. Let me slip my gloves back on here. And that's what I like about it. You don't get meat on any, thing except in the bowl. It's a one mess. And so you just kind of patty it up, move your bowl to the side, take your pan, and I just plop it in there, and then I just press it out to make it the size that fits. So at this point, you're already going to have your oven preheated to 375, and a toaster oven works just as great. So you're going to go ahead and put this in the oven for about 45 minutes. Every oven varies a little bit, and my mother-in-law, her oven is electric, so she can do it in about 30 minutes. I use gas, so it just varies on so about 30 minutes you really need to start watching it. The cool thing is we're gonna make a glaze over it, so the goal is to make it brown and have it cooked through. So I always take a little knife and cut the middle or cut a section off and make sure it's cooked through. And when the glaze goes over it, no one can even tell that you cut it to check it, because I always wanna make sure it's well done and cooked. So you're gonna add that on into your oven and be letting that cook. And at that point, you're just gonna let it cook for a little bit. About 15 minutes before you think it's done, so about the 45-minute mark in my oven, I go ahead and get out a pan, turn on my stove to medium-low heat. This is a 1-to-1 ratio, so it just really depends on how much your family likes the glaze. My family likes to dip everything that I make for the meal in the glaze, so I always make a little bit more. But for your purposes and for this meatloaf, it's a great idea just to get a 1 cup measuring, which I've already measured out here. You pour in the brown sugar. You take the ketchup and you do 1 whole cup and put it in. So then you have it in your pan over medium-low heat. You're stirring constantly. It will start to bubble and pop as soon as you put it on the heat. So your goal is just to dissolve all the brown sugar, and it just looks like yummy ketchup, and you can even taste it. And if you're on the sweeter side, you can add more. If you like more of the ketchup, you add more ketchup. So you've taken it out, you've checked it, it's all brown and it's almost done. So you just take this mixture and you just pour it over and then put it back in for 5 to 10 minutes just so it can get bubbly and mixed all together. And sometimes I even poke little holes so it melts into the meatloaf. The meatloaf will shrink as you cook it, so it will pour down the sides and on the end. And so then it's ready to serve. 2 things I want to share. If your meatloaf has lots of fat in it, as I take it out before I add my glaze, I pour off the grease. So that is something you can do. It just depends on what ratio of ground beef you get. So you can always just carefully, it will slide around, but you can just pour the grease off and then add the glaze on. Also in our family, my children really like meatballs. So instead of putting it in a loaf pan, you can just take the meat, ball it up, and put them on a sheet pan and cook them in like little meatball size. Especially if you're in a hurry, those cook in like 15 minutes, so that's a lot faster. And then you just take a little spoonful of each glaze and put on top of each meatball. You can also make mini loaves and put them in a cupcake pan and just push them down in the cupcake pan and do them that way too, and it contains the glaze even better. So when you're done, you take it out of the oven. It requires no foil or anything while it's in the oven. So you've added the glaze, and it will look like this. Usually when it first comes out, the glaze is a lot thicker. This has been out of the oven for a few minutes, and the whole meatloaf is cut. And if you do it like this, you can cut it in slices and serve it, or in the meatballs or the mini loaves. And then we love to serve it with mashed potatoes, because my family loves to take that glaze and put on their mashed potatoes as well as their gravy. And then just a vegetable of any kind, green beans. We like to do Brussels sprouts with ours, but this is just a great, quick ground beef recipe, and so we hope that you choose to eat more beef and make this in your future. Thank you.